and he uses people just like you and me. And we're going to talk about a woman today who is one of these great unknowns, okay? She is fabulous. I just love her to death. I love her story. I love her heart. And she's only mentioned 2 times in the Bible, okay? She's only mentioned twice. So she's not a major theme, okay? She's got, a couple of verses. Her name is there twice, and her name is Tabitha, or she's also known as Dorcas. Now, I don't know about you. Do you ever struggle with your name? I struggled with Chester for a long time, but Dorcas? Yeah. I mean, I wore those black glasses, and Marion said, "You're a geek," and that was a badge of honor. But Dorcas? No, I don't think so. Dorcas and Tabitha are 2 different languages, 2 different words for the same meaning, which is gazelle, okay? And this beautiful gazelle of a woman, we learn in here just a few things about her, but they scream at us. They want to grab us by the collar. What do you do when you want to get somebody's attention? What do you do?
Raise your voice.
You raise your voice. You smack them? Okay. What else might you do?
Tap them on the shoulder.
Tap them on the shoulder. Okay.
Get their attention.
Yeah, you get their attention. Yeah, you wave at them. Yeah. Or maybe you get right in their face like this. Okay. My grandmother was good. She was only this tall. But when she wanted your attention, there was no doubt. She, stepped right into your space, and I was 13 and she fit under my arm. That's how short she was, but she got your attention. And she waggled that finger at you. Hey, a checkup, and that was it. But God wants to get our attention about this beautiful woman. And it's not so much about her beauty on the outside, but first of all, what was she like? She was You're supposed to read this now. She was a disciple. Very good. Applause to you guys. She's a disciple. What does it mean to be a disciple? A Jesus follower. Now, is this just somebody who sat in a pew or a chair? No. What did they do?
Helping people.
They help people. Being a disciple is a follower. It's not a sitter. We're going to be going away for a few days, and we're getting someone to do what with the dog? Sit with the dog, to watch it, which means what? That's it. The dog's alive, and it's doing its business outside. Everything's good. That's all we care about. But a disciple is more in tune, following, and it's the word being willing to change, because it says this. It says discipline in the word. That means what? I got to change. God wants to change me, and that's a good thing. Secondly, she was not just sitting around in her Barca lounger, sipping, Long Island iced teas and eating bonbons and Dunkin' Donut holes. What was she doing? She was doing. Okay, that's the first thing. She was doing. She was active. She was off her butt. Do you mind? Is that okay to say on a Sunday morning? Yeah. She's off her butt? Okay, I'm off my nut, but she was off her butt. She was active. She was doing, and not just doing, she was doing not just works, but good works. Good works. She was actively engaged. She was doing it, and what were those good works? Some of those were involved with helping who?
Poor.
The poor. And who are the poor?
Those people.
Those people. That, like exactly what George just talked about. Those people. The poor are the people who, they don't look like us. They don't talk like us. They don't dress like us. They don't smell like us. But she crossed the border. She went out to them and did these good works. And she just didn't do it, it's a weekend. I got to do this now and be done with it. No, she did all these things over a period of time. She was actively involved with it. And she developed a reputation. People knew about her. It wasn't like she put on, she got out her phone and she took pictures and said, oh, here's a picture of all the things I just made. No, she just gave. She just did it personally, getting involved in their lives. And she had this reputation about helping the poor. But one day, she got sick. And you want to say, God, what's wrong with you? Do you ever want to say, God, what's wrong with you? Have you ever said that, God, what's wrong with you? Here she is doing all this good stuff. She's a disciple. She's helping the poor, good works, and she gets sick. She gets sick. She doesn't just get sick, she dies. And word spreads, and they send word to Peter, who's in Lydda. Now, this is a map of Israel. This happened in Joppa, which was on the coast. Okay, this is like, Vero Beach. And over here in Lake Wales is where Peter is, because, Lake Wales, Winter Haven, this is the spiritual capital of the world. So this is where he'd want to be. No, he goes, they call for him. And he goes. They send men and they say, please. They beg Peter, please come. It's about 10 or 12 miles. He couldn't Uber it over there. 10 or 12 miles, that's a walk. When's the last time you walked 10 or 12 miles? Long time, I bet. Long time, I bet. So Peter went with them, okay? And he arrives. And he goes upstairs to the room. And what happens? Who's in the room with Lydia's body? How many of them? All the widows. The room is jammed. Okay. Have you ever gone to a funeral parlor where there are just a few people there? And then have you gone to a funeral parlor that was jammed? It was wall-to-wall people? What's the difference?
I've been to both kinds.
Mm-hmm.
I have a friend that they were like, Bill and I were probably the only other besides the husband and the kids that were there. It's like, but then my dad's was like wall to wall, like you said.
Mm-hmm.
It's like people congregating and talking and reminiscing about that person.
Yeah, exactly. When this place is full of not just some or a few, but all the widows. And I'm sure, when my mom died, it was right in the teeth of COVID. And, everybody calls, we'll be there, we'll be there. You know who showed up? Nobody. And I don't, I understand. They were scared. Because my mom was 96, and most of her friends were in that same age group. And guess what they were? They were scared. And I understand, and I don't hold anything against them. But there were just a few people. But for my dad's, that was much later. All the Knights of Columbus guys came, and all the people from his union came, and the neighbors and the family came out, and the place was jammed. And no disrespect to my dad, but nobody was at the coffin. Okay, and I think that's a beautiful thing. Where was everybody? All clumped around, kibitzing. Do you know what kibitzing means? It means talking, okay? You chit-chat. Everybody's chatting up memories of Chester and his garden and his fishing and his crabbing and his card playing and how he and Rita danced. The place was abuzz. And here is Tabitha, dead. And the room is jammed because all of these widows are there. And what were they doing? They were crying. Why would you cry?
Because of all the things that she did for them.
Because of all the things that she did for them, which were a model of her personal connection. She personally touched these people. Marianne, my wife, used to be a teacher, and she taught kids how to read. Okay, these are like 6th, 7th, 8th, and up. Kids who somehow got through our fabulous and marvelous educational system and got into high school or middle school and couldn't read. Okay? And her job was to teach them to read. And she taught them how to read in school. She tutored kids in our house. She got down on the floor with this one kid. He's brilliant. IQ test way above me, but he couldn't read. Okay? Sharp as a tack, but couldn't read. And she's trying everything. So finally she gets down on the floor with these big blocks and says, we're going to make letters. And down on the floor, they put the blocks together. They make an A. They make a B. And they go through the alphabet. The next time he's at our house, they do the same thing. The third time, they're getting down. And he says, I don't need this anymore, Mrs. Gladkowski. I know it. And he just took off. And she found that he liked to read. He was very interested in animals. Bugs, snakes, birds, gators, what have you. So guess what kind of books she found for him to read? Animal books. And he just, went crazy. He could read now. He was interested. All because someone took personal interest. What did Tabitha do? She personal interest. Now, don't get me wrong. There is nothing wrong with giving somebody, a debit card to go to Walmart and buy something. Okay? That's a good thing. Do it, please. Tabitha didn't take them to a used clothes store. It says she made them. It was her personal investment. She's the one who did the measuring, who did the cutting, who did the fitting. Oh, it's not quite right. Let me take it up. Let me take it down. Do all that stuff, which is genius in my book. Okay. And she didn't do it for one, but many. All the widows, their robes. That's the piece of clothing that was right next to their skin. That's what touched them. She touched them. There's no social security. There's no, public assistance. There's no welfare. And by the by, just so you know, when you were a widow for all the wrong reasons, people say, what's wrong with you? What did you do to deserve this? You must have done something wrong. Because why would God do this to you? Now that's a lie. Okay, let's put it clear. That is a lie from the pit of hell. But that's the way people acted. And she went out to the people. And so here's Peter, and he's seeing all this. He doesn't know any of these people, but he sees the reaction. And he sends people out of the room. And what does he do? He got down on his knees in private. This wasn't a public event. This wasn't something to stir everybody up. This isn't something that was going to get him a lot of likes on Facebook or social media. There was nobody there taking a video to post on TikTok. It was a private thing. And he prays for her and says, Tabitha, get up. And what happens? She opens her eyes and she gets up. It's not a show. It's not out there for public consumption. But she sits up by herself. And then he takes her by the hand and helps her to her feet. And then they called. They say, look what I've done. No, it's look what our good God has done. And And they called for all the believers, but well, who especially?
The widows.
Why the widows?
They'd be the happiest.
They would be the happiest. They were the ones who had that personal connection with Tabitha. And they called the widows, the people, not the rich. You know, call them up. Look what we've done. Okay, here's a form. Now fill it out and we'll send you an email. We'll put you on our email list. Or no, here's the form. Fill it out. Give us your credit card number so you can make a monthly contribution. No. This is what God has done. It wasn't for the most influential. It wasn't for the rich. It was for the people who needed it most. And what happens because of this? This event became known all over Joppa. And it was reported on the evening news, and that was it. No. What happened?
Many people believed in
Many people. Word spread, person to person. Just like she worked person to person, the word spread person to person. This is the way it's supposed to be. This is the way it happens. Why? They're just widows, right? I mean, who cares about the widows? In God's view, it's vitally important. It is unbelievably important because everybody matters. Everybody matters. I don't know if you know about this show. It's called Bosch. It's on Amazon Prime. Let me tell you, it's very irreverent, okay? Lots of cursing, lots of violence, and it's really, out there somewhere. And Harry Bosch, who's the head character of this thing, is a detective. And he is a dog on a bone. You know what I mean by that expression, a dog on a bone? Tenacious. Oh, what a beautiful word. Never gives up. Somebody dies, he is on it. And at his desk at the police station, he has pictures of unsolved crimes under glass. And here Harry is talking with his daughter about why.
On my desk at work, I have pictures of 3 young women. One's Filipina, one's Chinese, one's Latina. Undocumented, illegal, whatever you want to call them. Immigrants. And I don't know their real names. They've never been identified. Their bodies have never been claimed. No one ever reported them missing. The murders have never been solved. Probably never will be.
That's so sad.
It is.
Why do you keep them? The pictures.
To remind me, everybody counts or nobody counts.
Why does he keep those pictures? Because everybody counts or nobody counts. If there were more important words to be said in our time, I'm not sure what they could be. Everybody counts. Doesn't matter the degrees that they have or don't have. Doesn't matter how much money they have or don't have. Doesn't matter what kind of phone they have or don't have. Doesn't matter what kind of neighborhood they live in or don't live in. Everybody matters. Why? Because they're made in the image of God. Because they are someone for whom Christ died. That gives them value to God and to everybody else. Everybody matters, or Nobody matters. And with some of the things going on in our political environment, we have to remember everybody matters. It isn't just the people who've got the political pull or have got the connections. It's everybody matters. Everybody. Because if everybody doesn't matter, then nobody matters. And the early church believed this and took action. Remember in Acts 6, you have people who are hungry, and what is the early church doing? Providing meals. They're doing a food bank before there was such a thing. And they're giving meals out. And a dispute arises, and they solve it, and these people are being fed, and the world looks on, scratches their head, and the word of God spread. Because they were faithful to these people who had no money and had no political clout. These people. And the priests, the pros, who looked on Christianity and said, no, 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 no. But they saw how these people acted. They saw how they took care of these people. And they said, maybe there's something to this Jesus thing. And they found out and they were changed. Think about what happened in Acts 4. In Acts, we have an act of kindness. Peter and John meet a guy who's been born lame. And they have the unmitigated gall to heal him. What's up with that? And people go nuts. And of course, the people who are in power, how do they feel about that? They're not happy at all. So what do? They throw their keister into jail. They bring him out the next day and they start yapping at him. Peter comes up and says, if we are being called to account today for what? An act of kindness. Because a man who was lame. They weren't brought up because of an election. They weren't being brought up because they were on the right or the left. They weren't being looked at because of their political views or their economic views or what neighborhood they had or where they were from. It was a what? An act of kindness. Historians, all historians, it doesn't matter what they believe, understand and will admit, how did the Roman Empire move from all of these gods and goddesses and everything to one God, a Savior, Jesus, who rose from the dead? How did that happen? Mostly through acts of kindness. Somewhere between 25 and a third of the Roman Empire died because of plagues. And the Romans, you know what they did? Somebody, gets a plague in your house. What do? You don't send them to the hospital. You don't take them over to the instant care, the urgent care place. Where do? You throw them on the street. Yeah. Or you take them to the garbage pile. That's what they did to unwanted children. They walked them over to the garbage pile and said, there you go. We don't want you. The Christian community received those people, and not to be gross, but just to let you know their level of commitment to God. These people who had these festering sores on their body that were oozing, they picked no rubber gloves. They took care of them. They took care of them. Mother Teresa, beautiful example. A woman who gave up everything. And this is the kindness, the act of kindness. The miracles, the outward sign of an inward change. the guy who was lame. And when you were born lame, guess what? You were looked at like you had a problem. What did you do to deserve this? And these people looked at these people with problems and didn't say, go away. No, they did what God told them to do, how God had been kind to them. Because they then went on to rejoice in the Lord. Let your what?
Gentleness.
Gentleness be evident to all. Gentleness. It's the idea of not being rigorous, but being satisfied with less. Is that painful to hear, to be satisfied with less? Because what do we want?
Everything.
More, right? More, and when? I want it more, and I want it now. Another good way to translate this idea of a gentleness is the idea, I just love this phrase, sweet reasonableness. Sweet reasonableness. You don't have to have it all now. And it's to be evident to just a few people? No, to all. It's something that people can't help but see it. And you don't do it, say, hey, everybody, look, me, I'm being gentle. No. You're being gentle and they find out. And when all this happens, then the peace of God, which goes far beyond anything we can imagine, will guard your hearts and minds in union with the Messiah, Jesus. To be gentleness will be evident to all. So the question is, are we willing to help? Are we willing to get off our spiritual butts to do what God has called us to do? And it doesn't have to be out there somewhere. It's right in front of us. Be willing to help. In the movie, The King's Speech. Has anybody ever seen the movie, The King's Speech? What a movie. What a great movie. It's about a guy named Lionel Logue. He's a speech therapist. And the Duke of York, comes along, and he's a stutterer. He's second in line for the throne. And so you got to be out in front of people. And what does he do? He stutters. He stammers. He can't get out 4 words without going, the poor guy. So his wife finds this guy, Lionel Logue, and takes him. Here is a scene that portrays part of their first meeting, where Lionel Logue hands over a book to the Prince of York and says, would you read this for me?
Pop these on. There's a bob in this, mate. You could go home rich.
You're playing music. I know. So how can I hear what I'm saying?
I'm sure your prince's brain knows what its mouth's doing.
You're not well acquainted with royal princes, are you?
You were sublime. Would I lie to a prince of the realm to win 12 pennies?
I have no idea what an Australian might do for that sort of money.
Let me play it back to you.
No.
The Duke of York had seen everyone. He had all the money in the world, all the resources to see all the best people, and all of them failed him. So at this chance, say, let me play it back, you were sublime. He says, no. Maybe you know somebody like that who needs help, and you've tried, and what have they done? No. Lionel Logue became a friend to the Prince of York. He was willing to help, but he was also willing to step back until the person was ready. The Prince of York has, in the movie after this, has an encounter with his father, the king. And he just rips him. He can't get his words out, and he belittles him, he yells at him, and everything else. And the Prince of York is just crushed again. And he's trying to make himself feel better.
We're playing music. I know. So how can I hear what I'm saying?
Well, surely the Princess Ray knows what its mouth's doing.
They're not well acquainted with royal princes, are you? To be or not to be? That is the question. Whether 'tis nobler in the mind to suffer the slings and arrows of outrageous fortune, or to take arms against a sea of troubles and by opposing end them. To die, to sleep, no more. But by a sleep to say the end, the heartache and the thousand natural shocks, the flesh is heir to. 'Tis a consummation, hopeless.
He read beautifully, but he wasn't willing to hear it. He wasn't willing to receive it. After that humiliation for all those years, you build up walls, don't you? You say, I've been hurt so much that I'm the only one who can take care of me. That I'm going to put up walls and I'm not going to let anybody in. Do you think that's the way that guy who had been born lame was? I think so. All those years, stumbling around, looking for help, probably getting little. But it was Peter who, by the power of God, stepped in. Peter didn't have to go out looking for this guy. He was right in front of him. And that's really where I think you and I need to start. It's with the people who are where? Right in front of us. There's no mistake. What did this guy say? There's no mistake. There's no circumstance. No, it was a plan of God. It was. And where you're at with the people around you is no mistake. They are the plan of God. And if there are people there who have needs, that's the plan of God. We are to get up and to get working. Now, some of us, you all probably won't identify with this next verse, okay, from Isaiah. So just walk along with me as I talk to myself, okay? Okay, because Isaiah says, even in your old age and gray hairs am I he. I am he who will sustain you. I have made you and I will carry you. I will sustain you and I will rescue you. Who's this addressed to? People with gray hair. Who are who? The old fogies. Okay, I'm an old white guy. I admit it. Guilty as charged. Who's going to sustain me? Is it going to be me? Is it me putting up walls thinking, oh, I got to put up enough money to help us make it through? Nothing wrong with planning. That's a good thing. But when the bottom of the stock market falls out, am I checking it every 5 minutes to see how much I've lost? Or am I checking in with God for the one who I trust? I am he who might sustain you.
Will.
Will. What's the difference between might and will?
Definite.
It's definite. You can go to the bank on it. The heavenly bank, not the bank that's down the street or on the internet. There was a woman, her name is, or was, Elizabeth Selfane. Okay, everybody know Elizabeth Selfane, right? Everybody knows her, right? You got her, right? She was born, but was frail. What does it mean to be frail? Weak. Fragile. Sickly. Easy to knock over. You ever been frail? I've been frail. When you're sick. She was sick most of her life, frail. After one of my hip replacements, you notice I said one of replacements, plural. I was getting on a plane and I was trying to be very careful, right? Very careful. And so I'm holding on to everything and I'm putting my stuff up in the overhead compartment, locking it up. And somebody goes in by with a backpack and turns. I get the benefit of the backpack, and where do I go? On the floor like a sack of potatoes. You know what that expression means? I'm done. I'm damned for the count. Frail. She was frail all of her life. But did that stop her? She gave much to the poor. She sold her house to raise money. She died at the age of 38. But she wrote a few hymns. One of them was written after the death of her brother, who had a troubled life, and he fell from his horse while intoxicated, struck his head, and died. She had a tough life, but that didn't stop her. She wrote words that maybe you've come to know. Beneath the cross of Jesus, I fain would take my stand. Within a shadow on a mighty rock, within a weary land. A home within the wilderness, a rest upon the way. From the burning of the noontide heat and the burden of the day. She lived this frail woman. And yet she could write words like this, words of worship, words that a few of us have sung. She didn't let her life just slip away. She was what was right in front of her, what she could do. I'm not telling anybody here to sell their house to give their money away. I'm not saying that. But what I am saying is there more that we can do for the people who are right in front of us? And I think about the people who are right in front of us who are with the Operation Christmas Child. Those are people right in front of us. They may be on the other side of the world, but where are the boxes?
Right here.
Right here, right in front of us. This is something we can do. It doesn't take a bazillion dollars. It doesn't take, a great deal, but it takes something. The people, the needs that are right in front of us. That's how we change the world. You want to change? You think our world needs changing? Anybody here not think our world needs changing? Okay? Okay, if you're one of those people, we'll have a conversation. But if you happen to think that the world needs help, that the world needs changing, this is how it happens. Peter, this act of what? Kindness. It's an act of kindness. If the world needs anything right now, that needs an act of kindness. Because you never know where that one act of kindness will go. Well, what it will lead to, who it will lead to, how that story will get told over. Think about Tabitha's miraculous resurrection. How did the whole region hear about it? Did they go out with bullhorns?
No.
No, not texting, not email. They didn't put up billboards, right? One person told another. Who did what? Told another. Who told another? The act of kindness. That's where God has put us. He's put us right here in Winter Haven or in the surrounding area. You got people right around you. Let us be like Tabitha. Let us help those around us. Not because we're spiritual, but because of how much God loves us, how much He's done for us, how kind He's been to us, how merciful He's been to us. And in response, we can do these acts of kindness. Let's be those kind of people this week. Would you pray with me? Our Father and our God, I thank you that your love for us is miraculous. You, God, stepped down from heaven, fully God, fully man, that you would die for us. And as Christmas comes, the message is, why in the world would you come for us? You came because you loved us. And let that be the motivating energy that you came for us. You did leave your throne and your kingly crown when you came to earth for us, for me. Let us leave this place changed by you. In your name, amen.